variety of creative TV and radio packages and see why AMP2 TV works with many major companies, including Comcast, Bravo, and Fox 29, as well as individuals and businesses of all types and sizes. To see samples of their work or to find out more, visit their website at amp2.tv. That's AMP2.tv. Or call them at 1-866-224-5422. That's 866-224-5422.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. AMP2.tv presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on amp2.tv. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Hello, welcome to Tell Us Your Business. This is Kristen Nofsinger, your host for tonight. I am the owner of KRI Image Consulting, and I have two amazing guests with me today. Scott Eddy, Mr. Scott Eddy, as he likes to be known, and we have Chris Ball.
Yes, nailed it.
Not like Christian Bale. Chris Ball, to distinguish himself from Batman.
We call him Siebes.
Otherwise known as Siebes, or that should be like an AKA, shouldn't it? AKA Siebes, AKA DNC Media. Chris is an amazing photographer, videographer. And I'm just going to let them tell you a little bit about their businesses. They're both pretty diverse, coming from pretty amazing backgrounds. And we'll just go from there. So, Scott, you want to start?
Sure. I come from the investment world, and I was in investment banking for 10 years down here in South Florida. And then in 99, I moved overseas, and I lived in Europe and Asia for many, many years, and I came back in 2015. But while I was in Asia, I started one of the first digital agencies in Southeast Asia, and we were basically the go-to digital house for all the hotels and resorts that were entering that market. And we built out the digital strategies, handled social media management. Then when they wanted to take it over themselves, we built their social media team, we trained them, and we were the go-to agency for 5 years. After that, I closed it up. I built my own personal brand, and now I do the same thing, but I'm much more nimble. No office, no home, and I basically travel full-time, but I work with tourism boards and airlines and hotels around the world.
Wow, that's amazing.
Keeps me busy.
Traveling full time. I love the be nimble. I'm going to be like, Scott Eddy, be nimble. Scott Eddy, be quick. And so you developed that Mr. Scott Eddy brand that now calls you or knows you as a, let's say it, influencer.
The dumbest word in the world.
He hates the word influencer because obviously he comes from a more diverse background. So we'll get into that and we'll get more deeper into that. But let's go to Chris.
So a couple years ago I've always filmed, shot photography. A couple years ago I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what direction ultimately I was trying to go. And had a friend who reached out, asked me to help out with some marketing for a property they were selling. Used the drone, took some photos for them, video, whatnot. And it got a ton of exposure and people kept reaching out, asking me for content. And I realized how powerful content can be in this day and age. So over the past couple of years, it's really been figuring out how to deliver the most value to customers and other businesses. And what a lot of businesses struggle with is getting new people in the door and teaching people, what they really do. So one thing that we really focus on, other than just exceptional content that stands out, is video business cards. And it's essentially a video that takes people all around your business, lets people know who you are, why you do what you do. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, people want to work with people they know, like, and trust. And there's not one better thing right now than video online to connect with that potential customer, let them know everything, and have them come to you ready to work. So that's really been our focus over the past couple of years, and we just continue to really try to help other companies grow through exceptional content.
I love that. And that's essentially what we're doing here today is creating exceptional content. I am, like I said, I own a Kristen Rose image consulting, and so the way we all came together, I thought was a pretty interesting thing to talk about, was that it was through Instagram. Each of us met each other through Instagram, and I think that that's an incredible testimonial to how powerful social media is and good content is, because that's how we reached out. You had seen Scott's content on you'd seen his feed on Instagram, and were impressed, and you were like, oh my gosh, this guy's going all over the world. Like, I would love to film in the places that he goes. Like, I want to take video there. How can I jump on this train?
Come to Italy with me on Saturday, bro.
So tell us how you reached out to Scott initially, and you were like, can I jump on the train of the amazing travel influencer? Sorry. Just gotta think of a better word. We have to invent a better word for you. That's what it is.
I'm just an entrepreneur. I just do stuff in the tourism world.
There you go. Entrepreneur. That's not a one word though. That's like 4 words. That's not easy for me. Influencer is much easier. So think about that other word and tell us how you met Scott.
Right. So what was this, a year and a half ago now, probably?
Yeah, probably almost 2.
So I'm frequently going through hashtags or different locations and looking, who's posting photos in Delray Beach, Boca, Fort Lauderdale, as well as other places where our clients are. And saw just a drone photo, something in Boca, sunrise or something, and looked into it, saw Scott, kind of dove into his page and saw everything that he was doing, and ultimately just reached out and said, hey man, whenever you're in town, you want to go shoot and you might need an extra hand or whatnot, let me know. I'm always going to shoot sunrise and whatnot, just basically going off all the photos on his page.
I think we met right after that. Like we hooked up immediately.
It was like the next day or two.
Right?
Yeah.
And we went to Deerfield Pier.
Yeah. Yep. And since then, just over time, he's always gone. So whenever he's back, or it's just we go out and shoot new content, and we're constantly trying to just put out good stuff online that will get you a following. And when people are paying attention, building an audience, there's a lot you can do with that. Whether it's just a simple ask, hey, we started this new company, go like this page for us, which I recently just did and had 300 people immediately go do that for me, just because they're following day to day random adventures and whatnot.
Right.
And I know Scott can talk about that a lot more, since he's done it for a lot longer and has a much larger audience.
but it's funny, because for me, I've never pitched anybody. All my business is incoming, but I've sort of set it up that way. And I know the more active I am on social media, the more postings that I'm doing, the more tweets that I'm doing, the more income in business I get, especially when I'm in unique places and, all over the place instead of one place all the time. So I know that pushing out good, fresh, new content every single day is the most important thing in my world. It's more important than revenue streams. It's more important than anything, because if I'm doing that, my brand is growing, my following is growing, my exposure is growing, and you just have no idea what's coming in. I mean, right now, we're going to launch something that we'll talk about in a few minutes. I'm negotiating a brand ambassadorship with one of the biggest banks in the country for 2019. I mean, there's 15 other things that are in the works, whether it's a potential TV show, whether it's a video series, whatever it is. And it all happened organically from being active on social.
Right. Well, I would say one of the most, it kind of leads into you guys meeting each other and us meeting each other. One of the most engaging things about Scott is the fact that he uses his social to actually engage. He uses his social to reach out and to touch people and to talk to people and to ask people questions. And it's not just like all about you. It's not about, oh, look at me and look at my fabulous life. I'm just going to post this and then I'm going to sit back and let everybody worship me. It's not about that at all. Like literally
like
everybody.
Most influencers.
Exactly. This is why influencer has like such a bad rap. It's a terrible word these days, because it's an egotistical kind of framework where a blogger influencer is just in this like, look at me, worship me. Oh my gosh, selfie. Scott, even though you do that a couple times, but other than that, the occasional selfie jumps in there. It's just because your fans want it. But I think that's an amazing thing about who you are and kind of what drew me to you as opposed to like anybody I could have reached out to in the way that I reached out to you. But just the fact that you're engaged. And in my position, I follow a bunch just because I actually represented Worth Avenue in Palm Beach, in the town of Palm Beach. So for a time, I was following a lot of travel influencers because I was kind of cultivating people to come to Worth Avenue in Palm Beach on my own through our own PR company. And so that's how I came across Scott, because he's done some stuff for Discover the Palm Beaches and Palm Beach County. And so I started following him, and I started noticing that on all of his contents, he was like, all the comments on his content, he was answering back, and it was always like very nice, and it was always very engaging. It wasn't just like, thanks buddy, like peace out. It was like, he'd answer back. He would actually have a conversation with people if it merited that. And so I found that to be really unique, and so that's why I continue to follow you. And I feel like probably a lot of your audience might feel the same.
Well, the problem that a lot of people have with digital is they treat real life and digital life differently. And there's really no difference, because on the other side of that tweet, of that post, of that Facebook post, whatever it is, there's a human. So if they're saying something to you, sometimes it's BS, sometimes it's nonsense, sometimes it's garbage. But if they're saying something like asking a question, that's like you walking down the street, somebody asking you a question, and you don't even acknowledge them, you walk by.
Yeah.
Now, you see how you laugh?
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think about actually doing that in real life.
But people do it all the time.
It's the same thing. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
How could you, I don't know, how were people raised? Like, how do they not answer somebody that's talking to them?
Right.
Like, it's unbelievable to me.
And that's like the segue into what's happening in the business world these days, and how businesses actually have to take that active part in their consumer. When they're asking a question on social media, they got to answer it. Absolutely. They got to be there. And the ones that do,
in a timely fashion.
Right. In a timely fashion. If they don't answer it right away, at least within 24 hours, 48 hours, depending on how big the business is or how many comments they're getting. But if they don't answer it, then why should I buy that Coca-Cola? Why should I
They have to be a part of the
come to that restaurant? Yeah, why are you so much better than me that you can't respond 100%. To me? And so it really is a distinguishing factor among influencers, bloggers, businesses, brands, everything. And it's something that we've been preaching for years with my company, that you have to be engaged. You have to be out there. So seeing that with Scott made me follow him, get interested. I saw he was in Fort Lauderdale, and I was like, hey man, what are you doing with your life? Which can lead into so many conversations. But I was just like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're an older guy. You've got this big following. What are you doing? What's your next thing? What's your next plan? And that's kind of what's gotten me in a conversation with a lot of businesses that I deal with. It's so what's next? Or you can't be just happy with where you are. Because the way I look at life is that what makes life interesting is having that next thing to plan for.
If you're comfortable,
that next step. Yeah.
You're not moving forward.
Yeah. If you're comfortable, you're not growing.
Get comfortable with being
if you're
uncomfortable.
Exactly. How many times have we talked about this in the last 2 weeks? So I reached out and I said, what are you doing with your life? Are you writing a book? Are you gonna be on a TV show? What are you doing, man? And he was like, I don't know. I'm thinking about that. Let's meet. And we ended up meeting.
For a drink.
For a drink. That turned into 2. That might have turned into 3. I don't know. But ended up talking through some stuff that I had been thinking about doing, and he had been thinking about doing, and I was like, this might be something that we have to explore further, and we did. And that kind of leads us to why we're kind of the, I don't know, dynamic trio right now. And I think what's been interesting to me. So just to give you background, we've been hanging out nonstop for the last 2.5 weeks.
I'm sick of them already.
I don't know. Every time I see Steves, I'm like, Steves, are you really happy to see me? I don't know. Maybe
even
or not.
Depends on the day.
Even though you called them CBs earlier.
The CBs. I called them the CB Steves.
I'll allow it.
They weren't there. He'll allow it for now. we've all been like talking through like what's our next level, what's our next plan, what's our next step. And what's been interesting to me through the conversations that we've been having is both of you and me combined have each a different perspective of business, social media, what's trending these days, where it's going, how to approach people. And it's like we all come at it from a different direction, but we're able to like meet in the middle and learn from each other. And I feel like that's why this collaboration is actually pretty exciting, because it's like we can all take the perspective that we have and create like a broad overview that can essentially help other people with their businesses. And
are you going to tell them the collaboration, or are you just going to keep alluding to it?
No, I'm just going to keep alluding to it until the very end. What do we got, like 15 more minutes until the very end? No, I wanted to actually ask, leading into that, I wanted to ask Siebes first, your perspective about, now you already shared like your perspective about how valuable video is, but I would like to hear your perspective on where people are at with creating this content. Like, are people getting it? Do you see them getting it more in the future? You know, what have you come across in creating?
I think companies in general and businesses are slowly starting to wake up and realize that how powerful content is, and they're coming around to it because they're seeing what the largest brands in the world are doing. The ones you think of at the top of your head, they're putting out content so frequently that the next time you need to go buy a soft drink or you're going to buy a car or whatever, it's already in your head, because that's how, it takes, I think, 7 or 8 times before you see a logo or a commercial or whatnot before you really start to register and associate with that brand. So it's not like a one-term, we're going to put up one Instagram post and one Facebook post and, we're good for the month. No,
right.
It's a constant thing. And it's, someone, say you run a plumbing company or something, someone might not need anything fixed that day, but the next week they might have something break, and because you had that post and they're going through their feed and they see it, now they know, oh wow, perfect, this is right in time. So companies are slowly starting to build their Instagram and hire dedicated people to run these social channels, which it really is, going back to what Scott was talking about before, it's a conversation, it's a two-way road. People are there, and people live on these social media platforms. People live in Instagram.
How many times do you check your Instagram in a day? Can you even count?
Me? Can we say like how many I used to or how many I do now? I don't have any time anymore.
Right.
Now it's like in the morning and at night, but used to, like every hour pretty much, probably. So we could say like 8-10 times.
Definitely. And one of the more frustrating things for me, seeing how powerful it is and how much you can do, and if someone comes to me even wanting to do a TV commercial, one, I figure out their business, their budget, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you can be paying a penny to get your ad targeted in front of an audience on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to target people that, make over 75 grand, like Thai food, and live within 25 miles of South Florida, you can do that, and you can get so specific and just be so efficient with your spend, and really get in front of that right audience. And so many people don't realize that. And that's part of just everything that I'm trying to do, is even just teach people and show them, look, you can even do this yourself. The internet, you can learn anything you want to, but it does take time, energy, and effort,
right,
to get it done. And that's obviously
exactly
where other people can come in and help.
And what do you think about that same question? Like something that's been sticking out for you lately in social media, that's like a direction that maybe people aren't, or that you think that you're seeing that maybe other people don't see, and they're going to see as like a trend.
As far as brands?
Yeah.
The majority of the brands out there, they still don't get it. As he said, they're getting it slowly, but like at a turtle's pace. I see it in a lot of the international brands because I'm overseas most of the time. And it's a shame that brands don't value things that are long-term ROI plays. They value if a dollar bill is going to fall on top of their head tomorrow. And if it doesn't, it goes to the bottom of the to-do list. So everybody has social media people. but they're also the PR people, the sales people, the marketing people, and they have 15 other job responsibilities, and then social media is down there.
Yep.
Society says we need to post once a day on Facebook. I posted, I did what society said, and now let me go to the tasks that I'm focusing on.
Right.
That's the problem.
There's the trick of the trade that I've picked up from Scott Eddy,
That's
from
the
Mr.
problem.
Scott Eddy this week or the last 2 weeks, because it's true. And I actually realized for my own business what I was doing wrong. And that was, telling brands that they need to have their certain amount of posting and they got to have it every day and they got to be on these platforms. But what I wasn't realizing that you kind of brought to light, something that I actually got 2 years ago but kind of lost among the fray of doing too many things, was that it's about the different platform and the different audience, and what are you saying to that different audience, and what are you presenting to them? And like, if you have an Instagram audience, they're going to be a different age group, they might be a different dynamic, they might be 75% women and 25% men, whereas your Facebook group might be 75% men and 25% women. And are you analyzing that, and are you speaking to that audience, and are you finding out where they're from? Are they from Mexico? Should you be having Spanish posts? Like, is half your audience from Brazil? Do you even sell to Brazil? Do you even care about that? Like, there's such an in-depth process of social media strategy that I've been, and I can say even for myself, I've been kind of like stepping back from and being like, oh gosh, that's so much. But really, it's just nice to have somebody take that in-depth look and analyze those things. And same with what you were saying about the ads. When you're targeting for ads, are you really targeting to what, or are you just like hypothetically targeting?
Right.
Are you really analyzing who your customer is and then like actually aiming towards that, instead of like, oh, I think they're like, a middle-aged Boca woman living in West Boca. They like doctors. I don't know.
And there's so much you can learn too about your target customers and who's really responding and reacting to it based on just the data that some of these social media platforms have. And I think a lot of people miss that too. You can test content or test ads or test whatever it is with your audience, see what responds, and then whatever is responding, do more of that, instead of thinking, I think our audience wants to see this, and then you put something out and it's not doing as well. There's ways to kind of look at analytics and figure out, like you were saying, well, 75% of our audience is women. They're probably going to respond better if we use a female voiceover instead of a male.
Yeah.
Something small like that.
Whatever. Use more flowers. I don't know.
Exactly.
Use more pink.
Just pay attention.
Whatever. Yeah,
pay
exactly.
attention.
Exactly.
Just stop thinking you're a genius. Put the ego aside and just sit down and pay attention.
So we're putting together like a bit of a dream team, and before that,
now we're rolling it up.
I know. Well, we got like 7 more minutes, and I just want to say, like, one of the most genius things. So Scott comes to the table with this global perspective of brands and global perspective of branding and marketing that neither of us could really claim to, because we haven't been out there and we haven't been doing it. We didn't live in Bangkok, marketing people for 10 years. And so he brings this, not only his following, which, MrScottEddy.com, he has, I think something like 1 million followers on Twitter and like 275,000 on Instagram, plus Facebook. I don't know how many of on Facebook, but I should probably know that. But he's got this following and he's got this like marketing experience, so he has so much to offer so many different kinds of brands, just having that knowledge. And then Siebes coming from this video content area where he's got this amazing creative eye that he's able to like take somebody's concept and bring it to life in a way that they can't even think of. And then he's kind of pioneered this video business card, which it's so funny when I learned about it, when I saw his video business card, which is on dncmedia.com.
.co.
dncmedia.co. I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been telling people to do all along. Like, it is the perfect way to show your business through video. So obviously you clip in whatever it is you're selling or you're doing, video clips, pictures, whatever. And then you're also taking the opportunity to tell somebody about your business. And Chris is an easygoing, amazing guy that can just coach people through that. And I think that's so important. So, bringing together the dream team, we are creating the Kristen Rose Agency. And that's the first announcement. You're the first to hear. So amazing. So we are taking together the collaborative talents of Chris being videographer, photographer, because his photography is also awesome. And then Scott's digital knowledge, social following, and my publicism experience and PR knowledge, as well as branding knowledge, and creating an agency that we can combine our forces and basically be like this awesome package for somebody to hire to give their brand exposure, because Scott's got the audience to expose them, give them the platform for people to understand them by video, and then also give them the ability to get out in the press and to take all of those tools and bring it out into the public, which is what I will do.
Right.
So
deliver results.
Exactly. So we are very excited to be on this venture, and this is kind of has been a work in progress, and we're seeing how it's all taking shape now, but we will soon have a KristenRoseAgency.com website, and it'll still be KristenR.com. That's my website now. It's KristenR.com. But that will hopefully be rolling out next week. And we're pretty excited. So anything you want to say to close? We've got a few more minutes about what you see for the future, what you would like to maybe accomplish through these collaborations, your next step.
Well, I mean, for me, and I told you this when we first met, I've done everything with my personal brand. I've got it to where it is on my own. I've sort of maximized that bubble to as big as I can get it on my own. Now, in order to get to the next level, I think that I need a support staff of people that are very good at the things that I'm not good at. I have no ego when it comes to what I'm not good at. I have no desire learning 50 new skills. You know, obviously the knowledge is good, but you bring in people that are much smarter than yourself. Surround them. I was talking about Siebes. Surround yourself with these people, and you have nowhere to go but up.
Right.
And you know, the money comes. You just need to focus on being successful.
1 minute.
And the money always comes.
Siebes, any closing remarks?
Strive for success, and the money will follow. And I think that's what we all do.
Yes.
You know, individually. So combined, it's like.
Yep. And we all definitely prioritize the success of our clients over everything else. So excited.
Definitely.
Excited to go forward.
For sure.
And that's it.
This has been Tell Us Your Business, where a special guest comes on every week and tells us what they do. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv, and if you wish to be a guest, call 866-224-5422 and tell us about your business. That's 866-224-5422. This has been an amp2.tv production.